Hi everybody, welcome to another edition of the Brainstorm with Matt Gray here on YouTube. I'm meteorologist Matt Gray. Thank you for watching, and if you like more science content, if you like to know what's going on here in the inland Northwest, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. For 4 News Now, we give you lots of updates on what's happening around our community every single day here on the best content platform on the internet. And believe me, it is not even close as far as if you want to learn and be informed. Well, let's take a look today at something that I noticed kind of going into the office here on Thursday, the 10th of March, 2022. Look at all these cirrus clouds. This is from the College of DuPage and from the Go 17 weather satellite. Really beautiful picture. You can see the snow on the top of the mountains, especially where it was much snowier in the past week over in Montana. But you can see these high cirrus clouds streaming across our area from the north, and this is out ahead of another system that's going to be working its way in this weekend and into early next week. It's going to give us some more rain. And when I looked up and saw these high cirrus clouds, I thought, oh man, this is halo weather. Now, what does that mean? Well, I tell you what, it's going to be something great, especially if you're a bit of a photography buff. I think you're going to find this to be interesting. Now, most of the time, obviously, we don't stare at the sun for obvious reasons, but this is a picture I took right outside of the office here on this Thursday afternoon. And you'll notice that there is a little ring around the sun. And so, much like when we talk about rainbows, when we talk about the different colors of the sunset, when we talk about why the sky is blue, and we covered a few of those topics before here on the Brainstorm. This is another one of these optical effects as the sunlight passes through our atmosphere and passes through clouds in the atmosphere, particularly these big decks of cirrus clouds that let a lot of sunlight through them, but are still basically covering the majority of the sky. You get these halo rings, and these are pretty cool, especially as we get kind of in the early morning and in the evening as the sun is rising or setting. They can become really, really cool, and they make for some really, really good photos as well. That's what I mean. Photography buffs, I think this is going to be pretty cool. So, look, let's talk about this again. We mentioned it before, talking about wintertime sunsets and how cloud cover like this can actually help that out. And that's because these high cirrus clouds, they're made of ice. It's not super cooled water droplets, it's ice. And so your basic ice crystal is a flat little hexagon. So if the cloud droplets or the cloud crystals line up a certain way, well, that means that it's going to scatter the light in a certain way. In particular, what you have, as you can see in this illustration, when sunlight goes through these hexagonal cloud crystals, it splits the light just a little bit, and it also deflects the light about 22 degrees. And so in this 22-degree arc all the way around the sun, that's where you're going to see this sun halo. And it's all about the movement of these plates is how we get different kinds of atmospheric effects when you have the sun behind these icy high cirrus clouds. So take a look at this. Well, here, we'll go back one. That's another illustration that I'll show you in just a minute. But so take a look here at this illustration, and it kind of gives you an idea of the situation, right? So we have a bunch of these hexagonal plates of these icy high cirrus clouds in between us on the ground and the sun. And so as the light goes through that, it's deflecting at that 22-degree angle, and that deflection is what we see on the ground. And it's going to be, no matter where you look, you're going to have that ring around the sun at that 22-degree angle precisely, because that's where, once again, if we go back, that's the angle that those plates are deflecting the sunlight into. And so no matter where you're looking, as long as these cirrus clouds are covering the sun, you're going to see that 22-degree halo. And this is just the start of the different kinds of optical effects that you can see when you have these clouds in front of these, or in front of the sun. Now, here's some more interesting examples here from the internet. And some of the cool stuff you can see, here is, number one, kind of the thicker and the lower the sun angle and kind of the thicker the cloud layer becomes, things kind of, it becomes more visible, becomes more radiant as well. So you can end up with some really brilliant halos. And in fact, if you're, say, up skiing on a day like this, and it's getting towards the end of the day or the beginning of the day with that high deck of cirrus clouds, you can see some really beautiful halos, especially with a thicker cloud layer. As long as it's enough for the sunlight to still penetrate through, you'll see some pretty good stuff. There's also some different types of phenomena depending on the alignment of these platelets in the clouds that you can get as well. So you can get sun pillars, you can get what's called sundogs, so these little kind of bright spots on either side of this ring. So there's some pretty neat little effects, and once again, it's all because of the shape and structure of these little cloud crystals, basically frozen cloud droplets that high up in the atmosphere, and just that little bending of light, and that little bending of light goes into your eye, and that's what you see. So very similar to rainbows, very similar to how the colors change as the sunlight passes through more layers of the atmosphere and deflects different colors of light in the sunlight around sunrise and sunset. All sorts of cool stuff. Optical effects is one of the coolest parts of meteorology, and one of the things that we don't always get the chance to talk about because we're a lot more concerned about whether it's going to rain or not, or it's going to be cold or hot. But man, there's some really cool stuff that goes on with these optical effects, and if I see any more examples, we'll break them all down here on the Brainstorm. So hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, hey, hit that subscribe button to Forward News now on YouTube, and I'll talk to you again soon.